Okay, greetings everyone. This is a prop how the Irish became white, but I'm not going to talk about that today. If you get the opportunity to read this book, so when I start talking about it, you have an idea of the facts I'll be going over. I'm going to talk about Judge Jody. Judge Jody has a TV show where she's a judge, and the show is revealing a lot of things because when you have a people who are shown as being so ignorant, so backwards, so stupid, as she say, there has to be a reason why the people are like that. Talking about so-called black people. You know, last year I watched, and it's hard to watch, it really is, but you got to watch it because what she's saying is true, but she deals with the effect and not the cause. I'm gonna deal with the cause here because when you have a people who you look at being like Frankenstein, so ignorant, so backwards. Men desert their families, freeloaders, women looking like hoochie mamas, inappropriate dress, nails like claws. We have to deal with the cause of these things. Now, to begin with, no one is more irresponsible than the white people who raped, savagely raped, and didn't take care of his offspring. Are we supposed to give them a pass because it happened some time ago? These are things that are the root causes. When you have a people who are totally disenfranchised, it's illegal for them to read, and now you blame them for being ignorant. Well, who's the cause of this? You didn't have to go through that. No one kept you from reading, from learning, so you got a head start. But what's reinforced is our ignorance and not our past contributions. So you think that's going to help the people to raise up? The key I'm speaking of is that you rob a people of knowledge themselves, then they become something other than themselves, and you take no responsibility for that. You say, oh, they're responsible. Nobody should be that stupid. When the education system has programs for dumbing down the youth, but you don't have to go through that, white folks. You have private schools. Your children are taught substance in school. But the public schools, the government schools, dumb down the children. Now you want to blame the children later to become adults. They don't maintain strong families. A symptom, an effect. What's the cause? Wasn't it you back in the 60s who broke up the family? Told the woman she could not receive any financial assistance as long as the man was there? These things are a part of our DNA. You put them there. You the one who brought dissension in the community. Before you programmed civil rights, which was a misnomer, because you have human rights of the Constitution. Why you need civil rights? Civil rights legislation was brought about in a bill, 1866, called the Ku Klux Klan Act. The reason why they had to have this act enacted was because Some people, high people, let's start with this president. What's his name? Woodrow Wilson. Let's start with him. Do you know he watched this movie, uh, What's of a Nation? What's that nation movie about? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Where the black folks are all then stereotypes and everything. And this man took the whole movement backwards. He took the whole movement backwards. And from his work, I'm still trying to think of the name of that movie. Founding of a Nation, Building of a Nation. Come on, memory. The point I'm making is that he enacted legislation to criminalize being black. They call it Jim Crow laws. He brought this in. Yes. And then he created volumes and volumes of lying volumes of books to remove our real history and contribution and write books that say we had no participation. Yeah, these are the real criminals. The reason why you have today is what they started. They started a long time ago. I can name Woodrow Wilson because he comes fresh in mind. But right after Lincoln left, 1861, Wilson was just in 1913. But even after Lincoln left, 1861, you saw so-called black people still criminalized. They had the Freedmen Bureaus, the Freedmen Bureau, which was to bring some type of reparations or freedom to the slave, 30 acres, 40 acres and a mule, whatever you. No, that never happened. Not only that, there were no jobs for them. They kept them out of everything. And then if you didn't have a job, you was vagrant. They put you in jail to put you back for free labor. So when they say slavery was abolished, you need to study history. The new slavery is the prison, and it's constitutional. That's why the 14th Amendment says that they make a distinction between voluntary servitude and involuntary servitude. So when you go to prison and forced to work, they call that voluntary servitude. Under voluntary servitude, slavery is allowed. You see how slick these people were? So that's the new prison system. That's the new slavery. This is prison. That's why there's more interest in building more prisons than anything else. Now, if you remember my videos, some of y'all was attacking me because I didn't believe in racism. Let me give you some history since this is alive. I can go into it a little bit. When you have humanity, you don't need races. Races was done to enslave you. To put one people on top, white folk, and put the other people at the bottom to justify their treatment because you are an inferior race. They flipped everything because at one time they were considered inferior. But you got to respect white folks because he united and took his disability, his pale skin, which was a disability, and people viewed it as weakness and wickedness. But he came together and he made that a privilege. And the women as a standard of beauty. Or you put them aside the melanated woman. I don't see no breasts. I don't see no buttocks. The sister got it all. But he has changed everybody's opinion and belief system by portraying her as the beauty queen. And when she gets some notoriety, what does she do? A lot of them got to have a brother. They can't be with their own man. I wonder why. Their man can't please them. That's another video. But the point I'm making is that everything you see going on with us as a people is part of a program. We didn't write the program, you did. So wherever you find a Frankenstein, you got to find a mad scientist who created a Frankenstein. But you want to blame the Frankenstein that you created. Well, you the mad scientist. You the one who brought about this conception that black was criminal. We're lowest on the total pole because of our color. You brought that on. So you taught hatred. You taught us hatred. That's where self-hatred comes from. You taught it to us. You trying to hold us to your standard, but you never allowed us the freedom to be who we are. We're not the people you say brought over here from Africa. If we was the murderous, ignorant people that you brought over here, why would you bring a murderer to nurse your children, to raise your children, to cook your food? These are programs. You made them the way they are. So you don't use racism because that creates a false concept that you're different because of color. If you want to really look at color, which one has the more benefits of nature, you got to go to brown and dark skin. If you want to talk about color. We're not going to go there. So the point I'm making in this video is, Judge Jody, look at the cause and not the effect. Whenever you come down or talk about the ignorance of black folks, that is your creation. You are the mad scientists who created them. We didn't create ourselves. We wasn't free to be ourselves. We don't have our own language. You took that from us. We don't have our own religion. You took that from us. We don't even have our identity. We're calling ourselves black, which our ancestors never did. Before this concept of race, you brought in to divide us, to give yourself a higher status. That's the only reason why you invented race. So when black people have a problem, they can say racism. No, it's not racism. It's just evil. It's wrong. Ain't no ism to wrong. So the point is, look at your contribution to the ignorance that you created. When you start taking responsibility for your creation, and you're blaming the man who was stabbed for being wounded. We didn't wound ourselves. Do you think we got this ignorant by ourselves? No. This started when you start taking away our communities. Now we had a hand in it. We was ignorant. We believed that integration was the key. Our leader at that time, King, said later, when he saw his mistake, that, oh my, I've led my people into a burning house. Meaning there was no hope for us under integration. Because it was an institution that was already destined to fail. And you think he's going to change? I think you got the point. So when Judge Judy, when you start seeing the ignorant black people, you should hang your head in shame and say, what have your people done? Why did you keep them from reading hundreds of years? Why even now you keep them in inferior schools, inferior neighborhoods? I'm in a county right now, a county where they have billions of dollars, but they never have us represented in their meetings. It's like a big club and we're not invited. They would rather take that money and spend it on building roads than decent places for people to live. See, this is what you did. You made us dependent on you. And then you took away our ability to think for ourselves. It's called in psychology learned helplessness. Oh, I see what you did. The Spirit shows me very clearly what you did. Now you're going to point out on national TV, which you make your living, which you live off of, that filth, to spread false rumors around the world about who we are. You're really showing who you are. If you brought from Africa, will your responsibility. If you enslaved us for 400 years, you have to bear responsibility. If you raped us, murdered us, lynched us, massacred us, destroyed a family, miseducated us, criminalized us, brought drugs in the community. So this is a product. Some of us escape. We have to be really strong and escape the traps you set for us. But most do not, because of the traps you set. No child comes here ignorant. They're made that way. We don't control any institutions. We didn't do it to ourselves. You are the one who is escaping responsibility to the ex-slave who raised your children, who built this nation, even the White House itself, for hundreds of years. And now you claim you have no responsibility. Everybody's the same. You have lost your mind. Now, I'm not asking for reparations, because I know that'll never happen. I just say, let us have a piece of land where you leave us alone. Yeah, we may have disagreements and argue after a while, But we won't have to go to you for the solution because you cannot solve our problems. We will learn how to solve our own problems and surpass your country. We will surpass everything you do. That's why you won't separate us. It's what Moses called the history of today. Come out of her, my people. Do not be partakers in their sin. Brothers, stop chasing after them women. They're not yours. Women, stop chasing after that man. God created a man for you. He looks like you. Before you was a race, you had a nationality, meaning you belong to a certain people, a certain place. Now the man is encouraging miscegenation, which means mixing of the races, which God don't like. Why is he encouraging that? Because you become mixed. You don't have no roots. You become like some of them. Well, I got part Irish, I got part Scots, I got part German. You have no allegiance because you have no nation. He wanted to make you like him. I'm just making it raw because nobody's saying what I'm saying. But it's not me, it's the spirit that guides me, that spirit of truth, which is my purpose for being here. Thank you for listening.